And for the final time in 2022, ladies and gentlemen, we are the Keyboard Warriors. Welcome to the Keyboard Warriors. I'm the Lost Fred Kirby, shooting the shit with you guys one more time before the ball drops tomorrow night for 2023. It's been a wild ass year, not just in MMA, but just in life in general. It's been a crazy year. It almost feels like, dude, like we're just now crawling out of the 2020 pandemic shit, right? And it's been 2 years. Like it feels like we're just getting out.
Very much so for me, man. This whole year, like in general, like I feel like almost 21 and 22 didn't happen. Like to your point, I sort of just now feel like the pandemic. And don't get me wrong, the pandemic been over. Like we've been not wearing masks and everything, but just like that hangover feels like it's fine. Like this year, like look, when we were going into 2020, I remember thinking I had a decent year in 19, and I was going into 2020 like, man, this gonna be my year. Watch, Jack. And in March, the whole motherfucking world was on fire. Like I'm like, and I just not that I gave up, but like my hope was gone for a while. Like fuck, like trying to plan on doing some shit. I just want to survive. Like this shit took a wild left. Now it's for the first time I feel like, all right, let me get back to that moment in 2020 where I feel like I actually want to like look forward to the year. And I think I feel like I can actually expect some normalcy this year. I feel like the last 2 years we just been going into it free balling it, Jack. Like, let's see what happens. Maybe we'll be able to travel, maybe we won't, maybe we'll all be fucking dead. Goddamn monkeypox scared the fuck out of us this year. It's been a fuck year, man, to be fair. But it feels like going into 23, we finally got a little respite and we sort of are back on track a little bit.
Right, and it feels like we're finally like you're right. Like I had the same thought, man. 2020 is gonna be the shit. We're gonna make the shit happen, and then it felt the world was gonna end. Like that's legitimately what it felt like. The world's gonna fucking end. We're all gonna die from some flu shit, and it's all over. Now we're at the end of 2022, going like, okay, like I think we'll be able to breathe now. I think we'll be okay now. So we'll find out, you know. But in the world of MMA, man, like just another year. I can't say it feels like the sport grew a lot just for the fact that, you know, we're still having all these Apex shows and all sorts of stuff and still dealing with silly ass problems like judging and refs and stuff like that. But we still had another crazy year in MMA in 2022. So we're here to do the Keyboard Warriors Awards. And again, heads up, this is the last show on this channel. We are moving over to Cageside Press. So youtube.com/@Cageside Press, all one word. I will be changing if you go to keyboardwarriorsmma.com starting next week, it will send you over to the Cageside YouTube. So all you got to do is go there. But make sure you subscribe and everything, leave a like, all that stuff on that one. But we'll start that there next week or the week after, depending on what happens on this Risen card that's going to start here in a few hours out of Japan. But let's do our awards, man. You ready?
Listen, I just want to say something before we get going here. Listen, we're going to talk about the highlights of the year for the most part, a little bit of negatives, but mostly the highlights. We had a decent year in MMA. There were some good knockouts, some good fights, some good cards, so on and so forth. But I'm gonna tell you something, man. Overall, in the grand scheme of things, I think this was a season 2. This was like if you ever seen a great series, season 2 is always a little. It's a build. Season 1 starts off a little fire. Season 3 and 4 usually are fire. Season 2, I feel like this was a builder year.
Very much.
We didn't get none of our major stars. We Chimaev sort of came into his own. We'll talk about a few other people that sort of started to get their shine on. But in the grand scheme of things, man, MMA did not have a great year this year. No. That does not mean that there were not some great fights. It didn't mean certain fighters didn't have some great moments. Again, we'll go over all that. But in general, in my opinion, I don't think this was a great year for MMA. We didn't get to see any, in my opinion, massive fights. Now, there were some fights that were massive to me and maybe the hardcore MMA community. But as far as transcending our sport goes, I don't feel like we did that this year at all. There was no John Jones. There was no Conor McGregor. There's no Anderson Silva. Israel has yet to really captivate that mainstream audience. Volkanovski's cute, but fuck off. Usman took an L. Like, it was a strange year, man. It was not a great year for MMA. It wasn't a bad one, but I don't think it was a very great one.
It wasn't great. And you're right. It really wasn't that great. But, it still had its moments and everything. But you're right. It felt like a builder year. McGregor breaking his leg. Was that 21? End of 21? Because he didn't fight it all this year.
I think so.
Like, the biggest thing come out of him is the fact that he looks like he's on all the fucking... He looks like Liver King. and then and all that shit. John Jones is teasing everybody. I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna fight. Didn't fight. Hasn't fought in like 2-3 years, whatever. Francis fucked his knee up. Like it's all like we're just sitting here open. Like we went in on hardcore MMA. Like we went in on that.
Sure. We had to have our fights. There were some good fights, but yeah, in the grand scheme of things, the big transcendent stars. And again, I think Chimaev might get there. Who knows? Maybe even possibly Islam. But like, this year, we didn't see a lot of that. We didn't have a lot of million buy pay-per-views, if you will.
No, 100%. Real quick, and I could get through a couple. What's up, Otis? Going on, dude? The third Keyboard Warrior, Santiago. How you doing? And then Liam left this morning. So if you guys remember Liam comes on here every once in a while. He goes, "Been ages since I've been in, but in case I missed this, want to thank each and every one of yous. Many a time I was lonely, and you folks were here and had to have some crack with." What does that mean? There must be some kind of
that's
slang.
That's them English heathens, boy, to have some crack with. I think that's how they be speaking. That's their slang.
Right. Much appreciated. Be lucky. We appreciate the hell out of you, Liam. If you watch this on the replay, make sure you follow us over at Cageside Press and keep your shit going. It's also a lot like a lot of these fighters fought for not becoming stars with the big names out. You would think somebody would have taken advantage.
And again, we'll sort of talk about a little bit of those storylines, but yeah, I feel like we didn't really have a lot of those moments this year, man, of people that really captivated the combat sports imagination. If we're keeping it a bean, Jake Paul was one of the biggest. If we're keeping it a buck,
you're right.
Jake Paul winning these matches against fucking actual fighters, that was one of the bigger stories of the year as far as combat sports go. We had some big storylines in boxing, especially for the UFC, man, and MMA. I just think this was a real builder year. Again, some great fights, but nothing major, really.
Right. And just a heads up, because that reminds me, for 2023, the show's going to be a little different. All right. Cageside Press has a show called Cageside Live, which we do on Monday, Tuesday nights, depending. But that's very much an analysis show. All right. We break down fights, all this stuff, cards and everything. We give you headlines and all that. This show is going to get a lot more fun. Don't get it twisted. This is not going to be your normal who would win or the bet line, none of that shit. We might still touch on it a little bit, but we're going to have a lot more fun here starting next year. So make sure you guys kick it with us. All right. And the awards show for next year at the end of the year is probably going to match that. So we'll see how it goes.
Hey, listen, Eddie, do you know who Charleston White is?
No.
So he's just this character sort of in the urban / hip hop community. He's a real sort of popular figure. He's starts a lot of shit, talks a lot of shit. Very funny guy, though. I guess it falls upon deaf ears if you don't know who he is. But if you're watching this, Otis, if any of y'all know who the fuck Charleston White is, that's the energy Daddy Fred's coming with in 2023.
Oh, I just Googled him.
I'm trying to be the motherfucking MMA equivalent of Charleston White. That means I'm talking shit about all y'all, everybody on Twitter, all these MMA blogs, all y'all so-called journalists. I'm giving all y'all, all the fucking fighters. I don't give a fuck if we get interviews. Fuck it. We're going to maybe try to talk to some of y'all, but if some of y'all get butt hurt because we're keeping it a buck and judging shit the way it goes, kiss my fucking ass, Jack. I don't give a fuck. I'm not in this motherfucking industry to make friends. At this point, I get it. Eddie, you and the other troops from Cageside Press can go to the events. I'm going to fucking ostracize myself. Now, that being said, I'm not just going to be lying on folks and talking craziness. I'm just going to try to provide a little levity to the situation. And I feel like we live in a day and age where everybody wants to sort of coddle the fighters and the fighter pay, and it's everybody's sucking the fighters' dicks. And don't get me wrong, appreciate the fighters, the warriors that provide us with our entertainment every weekend. They deserve it, so on and so forth. That being said, they are entertainers, just like we can criticize Chris Brown and fucking whoever the fuck's driving a NASCAR. If you are an entertainer, or you getting paid big bucks to do so, we are allowed to fucking criticize you, and that is the motherfucking energy I'm coming with in 23, Jack.
100%. Now, I just Googled the name Charleston White. I recognize his face. He talked some shit to T.I. about T.I.'s daughter or something like that, or his wife. So he said some crazy, like, sideways shit. Like, whoa.
It was about his son. And where he's not fucked with Charleston White is because at first you hear him talking about T.I.'s son. You're like, oh, man, that's fucked up, boom, boom, boom. But then you find out T.I.'s son's 20 years old. T.I.'s son ain't no little boy. That's a grown fucking man. That's a grown man. And to be fair, I don't know exactly what Charleston White said. I think he called him stupid or ignorant or he can't read or a little. He didn't say he was going to hurt the little boy. He didn't say he was going to do nothing to him. And I get Charleston White. You can't have your opinion. If I'm telling y'all right now, one of you fighters, you post your little ugly ass baby, I'm calling him ugly. You have an ugly ass baby, you post him on Instagram, I'm calling him ugly. And what you gonna do? You gonna kick my ass again? Let me make this unequivocally clear. No matter what I say on this internet space, this is a joke and this is entertainment. If I ever see a fighter in real life and they kick my ass for some shit I said, I'm suing the fuck out of you. You better pray to God you ain't never got no fight of the night bonus, because that's gonna be Daddy Fred's bonus.
Charleston White calls King Harris ugly, claims he's not afraid of T.I., challenges into a fight. Bruh. Oh, all these YouTube fights, man.
CM Punk I've been trying to get the smoke with CM Punk for 3 years now, goddammit.
You might get it. He just got, I don't know if he left, he got kicked out of whatever wrestling promotion. Adam Woods on now. What's up, dude?
There he is.
What's up, Jesse? Good for you. I appreciate you, man. I'll send you a link somewhere near the end of the show. You can jump on and see what's up after we get through the awards. Santiago says, I don't see nobody taking the spotlight and becoming the big star in the near future. I mean, there's possibilities, but you're right. We'll see. All right, let's get started, man. So first one, I'll start off first. First one is what we call it, newcomer or rising star, but it's more like rookie of the year, same shit. And for me, Mr. Jonathan Almeida, this guy at light heavyweight and heavyweight is a monster. Okay, think of it this way: like, first of all, he's fighting at heavyweight coming up pretty soon, and you know, when your style is compared to Khabib Nurmagomedov a little bit at light heavyweight, that says a lot, right? You're some kind of dominant. He's got way better stand-up, obviously, but you know, he had the 205ers nervous, and now he's going to fight at heavyweight in 23. So we'll see if he dominates both, you know, divisions, if he wants to come back down to 205 or not, or if it's just going to be a heavyweight thing. But this guy is super exciting. He's just the next scary guy, so we'll see how it goes here for him. But I got Jonathan Almeida as my, you know, rising star / rookie of the year.
Well, look at you, big baby. I appreciate. I thought we was going to have a bunch of the same picks, because I tell you what, listen, I'll tell you something. Over the last year or two or so, I became a filthy casual. I'm a fucking casual at this point. Well, I don't even know what the fuck that is, to be honest with you. So most of my picks are going to be very much your top 10 countdown type shit.
All right.
Rising star of the year. I felt like there was really only, again, I thought the year was a little dead. I felt like there was really only a couple picks for a lot of these fucking awards. It's Patty the Batty. I'm not a massive fan of Paddy Pimblett. I've definitely got my doubts about the guy, but if you're talking about somebody who is just fucking really built a real star, I mean, the prick's probably one of the top 5, top 10 stars in the UFC at this point. If we're talking about people that can put asses in seats and eyeballs on television sets. I mean, the prick went from, I don't know where the fuck he was at the beginning of this year. I don't know how many times he's fought this year, again, because I'm a fucking filthy casual at this point, but I know he's fought at least a couple times. The prick won't get off my fucking timeline. He's winning. He's fucking, I mean, the last fight was a little fucking controversial, but usually he's winning emphatically. And listen, more importantly, he's got what I'm going to bitch about for most of the show. He's got the public's imagination.
Yeah.
Hell, even I want to see this little twat lose. I mean, and whether you want to see him win, whether you want to see him lose, whether you think his haircut is fucking atrocious like I do, or you think he's just the cutest little British prick in the world like a bunch of fucking twats out there do, he has you interested. And I tell you what, man, the more you watch this game, the more you watch combat sports in general, whatever, but especially combat sports, you find out how important that is. What you don't want is motherfuckers being indifferent. Be a fucking disgusting little Henry. Be a Colby. Be a Patty Pimblett. A lot of fuckers like this guy. A lot of us don't, but most people are not indifferent towards him. We all want to see him win or lose, and that is ultimately what you're looking for in this fucking game. And this cocksucker's got it in spades.
And the only thing I have against Patty, honestly, besides a haircut, is the comparisons to Conor McGregor. And I had already thought of this, and fucking Luke Thomas, son of a bitch, fucking beat me to the point. Because I saw a clip of him talking about it. He said on his fourth, look at the fourth fight that Patty Pimblett had in the UFC, and look at the fourth fight that Conor McGregor had in the UFC. He goes, like, I forgot who he said Patty fought the fourth fight, but he goes, Conor fought Dustin Poirier and he knocked him the fuck out. Yeah, they are not the same. They are not the same. Patty definitely has the it factor when it comes to entertainment, especially now that he's, you know, picking beef with the nose and anybody else and the media as a whole. Great, he's not afraid of anybody, but he's entertaining as shit. I'll give him that, definitely. But I want to see a little more from him, like in the cage in 23 for sure.
Listen. I know that it's popular to like hate on Conor and shit. I get it. But let me tell you something, baby. As somebody who was outside and there for that time, motherfuckers need to put some respect on Conor's name. I like Patty. I'm giving him this award. Rising star. He's the man. Bro, we ain't never seen nothing like what Conor did.
Nope.
Not even just in the cage. Patty is he's an interesting personality. He's got some smoke. I don't think motherfuckers remember what Conor was. Like, yo, this motherfucker shut down towns. Like, yeah, I'm sure it's a few Brits traveling with Patty. He's doing his thing. But yeah, I don't. Bottom line, before we spend too much time here, the comparisons to Conor are goofy. Yeah. He's cute, but Conor was a different thing. That's not just because I'm a Conor nut hugger. It's just the truth. And I don't, to be fair, I don't think Patty will ever sniff a title, let alone win it. And in what he's a 55er now, 2 weight divisions. Are we high on methamphetamines? He ain't bit more got a shot at beating Kamaru Usman than the man on the moon.
Yeah, there you go.
Look at you giving Kamaru the belt. Kamaru ain't even the champion no more.
Leon,
he ain't gonna beat Leon either, Jack. He ain't gonna beat none of them folks in the top fucking 23 at welterweight.
He can stand up and put chin up and arms down against those guys and they get knocked the fuck out. Otis says Jack Della Madalena, 3 knockout wins over Danny Roberts and me, even dead. Yeah, that dude had a freaking year.
See, this is why we're nasty, boys. You little hardcore motherfuckers, y'all naming folks I barely heard of. I'm gonna bring you the patties.
Oh no, Madalena's a bad motherfucker. Adams says Punk is out of AEW because the dudes who call the shots are, pardon the pun, punks. AEW was created by the son of the guy who owns the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that tells you everything you need to know. That makes sense. I wonder what Punk's gonna go. Punk's probably just gonna retire, so whatever. I just don't want to see him fight anybody. And SJ says Ryan Spann is really impressive. Ryan Spann's a bad dude, and haven't gotten, huh?
Good sleeper pick. Ryan Spann's a good sleeper pick for fucking fighter coming on this year.
And I've gotten to talk to Ryan Spann before, and he fucking hates doing media. But like you can feel the intensity from that dude. Like he's legit about it. True, Spann looked great this year, 100%. All right. We'll move on to the next pick here. I'm gonna fucking pull it up. I made graphics for the ones that I had because I had time one day, but I fucking didn't put them in order.
I'm telling you right now, my picks are trash.
Yeah,
boy, good. I didn't even think about this till about 67 minutes ago. I got the motherfucking Googling list. Shit, man. I'll be busy as a motherfucker, and I'm with you. I don't remember shit, bro. If the fight happened in January or February, that shit might have happened in 1997 for me. Like I don't remember that shit at all at this point. Like I remember the last 2 months.
I just realized that for the one we're about to do, I don't actually have a graphic. So let's go. Upset of the year. For me. And honestly, for me, this is the upset of the year because of I was there for it, but also how the fight was going in itself. So it could be comeback of the year, it could be upset of the year, whatever you want to call it. But to me, it's upset of the year. Fucking Leon knocking out Kamaru Usman after getting worked. First of all, going into the fight, we all thought Kamaru was just gonna, school him, just put on a clinic, beat him up, put him on the ground and ground and pound, or just decision his ass to like a dominant win. And he was doing that till literally a minute left on the clock, and then he knocks him the fuck out. It was like, what the fuck? So to me, that was the biggest upset of the year because I honestly didn't think anybody at 170 could beat Kamaru. And then Leon went ahead and fucking be like, yeah, boom, headshot. So that was mine.
Now, this is why you should actually, and not you, but just in general, we should research these questions. Because, and I'm not going to really say this about many of these other things, but you're wrong.
Okay.
That's not the right answer to this question.
Okay.
And I say that because that's exactly what I was going to pick. Because at first I thought it's got to be Leon. That's the upset. It has to be, right?
Okay.
Then I got to thinking, when was that first fight with Juliana Pena and Amanda Nunes?
The 21?
No, that was 22. Matter of fact, ironically, unless my Google machine was fucked up, I think it was July 22. Which means it was only like 6 months ago when they had their first fight, which the rematch was, I think, was 2 or 3 months ago. I'm pretty sure the first fight was definitely 2002. Make sure I'm right about that. 22.
Working on it. No, December the 21.
Was it? Fight. Oh, I'm tripping. Okay, fine. Fuck it. It's the Usman fight then. I thought, was it?
No, the second one was in July.
Oh, the second one was in July. I'm tripping. Okay, that does make more sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it still was almost there. But all right, fair enough, I guess. Then, look. Then there's only 2 fucking respectable choices, right? I'm tripping. It wasn't that. It's either this or the fucking Adesanya fight, which I guess you really wouldn't give it that because dudes actually beat Adesanya a few fucking times. So technically, it wasn't the biggest upset in the world. So yeah. I guess there's one answer to this fucking question. Obviously, clearly, I thought for sure I had that shit though. Boy, I was cocky like a motherfucker. I thought you was wrong like a motherfucker. Boy, I was like, that was the biggest upset. December
No,
last year. I hate that shit.
no. When I
Oh,
started
yeah.
working on this, that was my pick too. I'm like, oh, easily Pena over Nunes, right?
Right,
But
right.
I put that in there. Enough for Cageside Press. This will be out here probably in the next couple days. One of my editors, Jay Anderson, he put it all together, and I told him, like, I sent him like my picks, and he goes, Nunes Pena was in 21. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, really? And I looked and I'm like, holy shit, he's right. It was December. That's why it feels like it happened this year.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Exactly. Okay, fair.
All right.
Yeah, then yeah, man, it has to be fucking
Right.
Leon Usman, man.
Right. Otis says Spanish been in the UFC for about 5 years now, 100%, but he's still like a rising. Like, you would think he'd have been something,
That's
right?
wild.
But
Yeah.
he's making it. He made it feel this year like he was a new guy. Wood says Punk is actually a great commentator for CFFC. I've never actually watched it. Isn't correct me if I'm wrong there, Adam, but isn't John Morgan on that too? And Santiago says Edwards. Otis says Tai Tuivasa over Derek Lewis, 271.
It's an interesting pick.
I picked Tai in that fight, but I was pretty comfortable picking Tai in that fight. But you're probably right.
I think it was an upset, but I wouldn't call it.
Yeah.
I don't think it was.
Santiago said I jumped off the couch with that kick, the Edwards kick, dude. In the arena, we're up top where the secondary media is because they don't have enough room in the fucking cage. And honestly, I was happy I was up top because you saw everything even better. But when he landed that kick and Usman's body folded, like everyone on media row was silent. Everyone else around us is freaking out, but we're just like, that just fucking happened. That's insane. So yeah, no, that was a crazy, crazy fight. All right. Now the next one up, we're gonna go with comeback of the year. This is comeback in a fight. So my pick, and this might actually go a little for the hardcores, Matt Schnell over Sai Majur, whatever the fuck his name is. Let me find out. Hold up, I got it written down. All right. Yeah, Mudarji, how you say it? Whatever. So the first round seemed to go the way from Matt Schnell. Is everything he wanted: the ground and pound, the takedowns, landing shots from top, and all that. The second round, Sue beat the shit out of Matt Schnell repeatedly and dropped him. And that's when Schnell went to work. Even though he got wobbled and everything, he locked up a triangle from the bottom and pulled victory out of the clutches of defeat. It was an insane, insane comeback for me. There's a few different candidates for this one. This is my pick because I was like super impressed because Matt Schnell, he's got a whole story behind and everything. But his walkout song is, or at least at 274, was an ode to his mother who had just passed, I believe, and all that kind of stuff. So, but for me, it's Matt Schnell over Sue.
Listen, speaking for the fucking casuals out there at this point, son, the only thing that really comes to, and look, I'm sure there were tons of fucking comebacks and fights, but the two that come to mind are Kamaru and Leon and fucking Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya, man. And so I would have to give it to Pereira and Adesanya. I think that fight was a little closer, but I also think that we can all agree that Adesanya was winning that fight. That fight gets to the fifth bell. Adesanya is going to win that fight relatively easily. And fucking homeboy comes back and sleeps him. What, the last minute or two of the fight? Something crazy like that? Like very close into the fifth round type shit.
Pereira's corner in between rounds is telling him, like, you're going to have to get a knockout.
Yeah. And that alone, his corner going into the fifth round almost makes that sort of a moment. They gave him the Rocky vibes. And then he comes out and delivers on it and shit. Like, very popular pick here. I'm definitely not breaking any fucking molds with this one, but this is just, again, when the upset and comeback, both of these two fights was just interchangeable for me. I feel like they were both upsets and they were both comebacks, and they were the upset and comebacks of the year for me. What the fuck?
The wild part about this fight and the Usman fight, they're so goddamn similar. Like,
right. That's what I'm saying. It's very similar.
Very similar. Like, Adesanya wasn't schooling the shit at Pereira, but he was clearly winning every round.
Sure. And
then at the very end, Pereira's like, they told him, like, you need to knock him out now. And he went in there like for caution of the win. Adesanya was starting to fight, more cautious and defensive, and he got taken out. There you go. All right, let's get some comments here. Otis says Edwards over Usman because besides the first round, Usman had it in the bag until the last minute, literally the last minute. And the best part is, because obviously live we don't hear the commentary. Going back to watch it later, that like DC and Joe Rogan are basically saying like, Edwards is gonna lose and all this stuff, and John Anik is like, well, that's not the kind of whatever, that's not the cloth that Edwards is built from, and then boom, knockout. Like, I love when that shit happens.
Yeah, and listen, I'm gonna tell you something right now. I love Anik, and everybody keeps pointing this out, and I respect that.
Yeah.
But all things being equal, Leon's never really shown us this
Right.
type of resilience in the cage. Maybe Anik knows him a little better personally or something, but I sort of lean with what Rogan and them were saying because I think the rest of the world sort of felt like,
Everyone
okay,
did.
we're yeah, like and look, it's a stark reminder that anything is possible in this game. But like, if people like Anik was telling us, oh man, shut the fuck up. Anik was about to get lucky. Like, listen, Anik, Leon, and his mama were the only three motherfuckers on earth that was like thought that Leon had a chance to pull that off. Now, obviously, it was possible because he fucking did it, and this isn't the goddamn Matrix. But
Right.
in the grand scheme of shit, none of us saw that coming. Hindsight's 2020. I don't give a fuck what John Anik said. I
Right.
fuck
No,
with Anik, but like,
no, I think Anik was trying to like. I think Anik pays a lot of attention when people talk about the commentary teams being shit and the commentary being trash and leaning one way or biased or whatever. I think he was trying to even that out a bit, and it was just perfectly timed.
I will say, Homeboy's the goat. Well, okay. Joe Rogan's the goat, the OG goat. John Anik is the fresh goat, though. I love Liz. I think John Anik has a great mixture of that sort of sports analytical voice that I can that motherfucker can tell me about Miller Lite or whatever the fuck, and it just sounds good, Jack. He sounds like a baseball motherfucker selling some shit. But he also throws a little bit of that in there where he
Yeah.
shows his passion for the sport and he throws a little cute comment of his own every once in a while. I think John Anik's probably the best in the game right now. I like Joe Rogan the most because
Yeah.
Joe Rogan feels like my uncle. So I was watching Joe Rogan comment on fights when I feel like I was in my teenage years at this point when my 16-year-old daughter was like 2 years old and shit. Like I've been watching Joe watch the fights with Joe for motherfucking 20 years and shit. But John Anik is probably my favorite commentator just overall in the game. He does a real good job of like not annoying you. Like I fuck with Cruz at times, I fuck with everybody DC, but they also get really annoying and shit at times, get over fucking descriptive. Anik does a fucking good job, man.
Yeah.
Of a really hard job to do.
I like him, and I like the Fitzgerald is the guy that does the fight nights. All the fight nights are him, and Anik only does pay per views now because he's bougie. But no, it's kidding. It's because he's earned it.
Yeah.
Adesanya and Glover were winning on when the cards into the fifth great championship fights. If Herb didn't split them when they were against the Cage with 2 minutes left, it would have been another story. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, next one up. Event of the year. This is the event that to us was the best one for me. This is I think it's the first time I picked a fight night, but it's a fight night. UFC, was it London? Volkov versus Aspinall. Fucking great fucking card, honestly. And it was like one of the first ones, like not at the Apex, I believe, if not the first one, not at the Apex. 3 decisions in total on the card. Only 3 decisions. Every other fight was a finish. The crowd was insane. Some of the best that UK had to offer were on that card. And to me, it's the event of the year. Tom Aspinall announced his arrival. Unfortunately, he blew his knee out later on. Paddy the Baddy continued his rise. Molly McCann got that knockout. Again, I think the back elbow knockout, I want to say. And then Paul Craig synced in what could have been submission of the year. So all around great event. An event like that, those fighters could only happen in the UK. So to me, it was the event of the year. You're muted, bro. There you go.
Smoke another one, Freddie. Jesus Christ. That's a great pick, man, because I do love those sort of themed events where they go to a country and they got some rising fighters from that country, and then all those pricks happen to win and the country goes really insane. It really gives the fight cards their own feel and their own vibe, and that shit is always fun. So yeah, that was a really good pick. Again, bro, I'm gonna be total fucking hipster vibes with this one, or not even hipster. I'm the opposite of hipster. Total casual vibes. UFC, and I have to Google this shit. Jesus Christ, 274. Oliveira Gaethje,
Arizona.
Yeah, that. So going into it, that was one of the cards that I was most excited for, man. Chandler and Ferguson, I was super excited for. That whole fight was fantastic, but then the ending was fucking one of the best things we've seen this whole fucking year. The Esparza fucking Nama Munez fucking fight definitely sucked, so I can see why people wouldn't pick this card because of that. But I'm not gonna let that drag me down. Oliveira and Gaethje was one of the fights, if not the. I was more excited for Oliveira Gaethje than I was for Oliveira Makhachev. And I was really excited for that one but I just felt like this one had chaos written all over it, and it fucking delivered, man. And it's a championship fight. Again, sort of a casual pick with this one, boys and girls. Daddy Fred's fucking been out of the loop. There's way too many fights. It's fucking too intense for anymore. But this was a hell of a card. Again, on a not so great year.
Right. No, and you know, haven't been there to cover that card. You're absolutely right. Like the Chandler Ferguson fight was like when he finished that fight, everyone's jaw dropped.
Nuts.
And then in the co-main event between Rose and Esparza, I'm not gonna lie to you, most of us in the media room stopped watching. Somebody popped up the Canelo, whatever fight, the guy that pieced him up was on, and we were just like, holy shit, Canelo's losing. While that fight was still going on. We would look up, be like, oh, they're still doing that? Okay. Holy shit, Canelo's getting fucked up. So that's kind of the thing with that. Otis says, UFC 281, Adesanya Pereira, Esparza, Zhang Weili, and Hooker Chandler. Wow, was crazy.
That was my next one. That was like my little second one.
Yeah, I'd have picked 274 if it wasn't for that Esparza Namajunas fight. You're right. But yeah. All right. Next one up. Let me see what my list says. Ooh, submission of the year. This one might be a little different or we actually, I don't know, maybe we might have the same pick here, but we'll see. Submission of the year, obviously, the submission of the year, the one that, for me, it has to be not just a good submission, but it has to be something impactful. And to me, nothing was more impactful in submission was in Yuri Prochazka getting the submission over Glover Teixeira for the title on a guy that he wasn't supposed to be able to submit. Glover Teixeira is a ground guy in this one, and Yuri Prochazka is the stand-up guy. So sometimes we get these matchups where one man is clearly better than the other in one aspect of MMA. Prochazka with Teixeira was that. They put on, Prochazka, one of the best all-around strikers against one of the most experienced and talented grapplers in Glover Teixeira at 205. After nearly 5 rounds of the back-and-forth battle, which ended up turning into somewhat of a brawl at some spots, but when most of the fight in Glover's move, whatever, the way he was going, dictating the pace, Yuri was able to reverse position and end up on top of Glover and sneak in the rear naked choke for the title. That, to me, I was tripping at home watching that shit, just like, get the fuck out. That just happened. So that was dope. But so I got Yuri Prochazka in the submission of the year, RNC over Glover Teixeira.
Okay, so this one was a little hard for me, man, because I tell you what, on a quick rant here, I know we don't got a lot of time, so I'm not going to rant for too long, but in doing the tiny bit of research I did for this one, I realized that wasn't a whole lot of high-level submissions this year, or just a whole lot of great submissions in general, and it makes me feel like submissions, at least on the high-level championship fights or big important fights, other than like your rear nakeds, like your really sort of slick go-goes and fuck, even the armbar Kimura, man, it feels like that shit rarely happens anymore. Like the old school days of Frank Mir flipping a cocksucker around and just ripping his arm off his fucking chest. And that shit just doesn't really, it's very uncommon anymore. So again, the first submission that came to mind was, okay, there's two submissions that came to mind immediately when I thought about this. What you just said, the Yuri and the Glover fight, and then the fight that I just said, the Oliveira and Gaethje fight, because he submitted Gaethje, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, but I don't like picking, like I hate your pick. And well, and
I got you. I
tell you why. Because it felt like a cheap submit. If those two cocksuckers grappled, not only does Yuri not submit Glover, but I think Glover probably submits Yuri.
Oh, easily.
Now, if it was a fifth, we'd be drunk. I get it, but I don't love giving him submission of the year because I feel like the only reason he really got that was because it was just grit and determination, and he was like blop and just like they were just in a dog fight. So I don't feel like there was much of a setup. Like he just landed this sort of slick submission. Okay, so anyways, I don't know who I pick. I tell you, if I'm not mistaken, I am fucked, but I think it was Jessica Andrade who got the standing arm triangle. I don't forget who she hit it on because I'm a fucking idiot, but if that happened this year, that would be what I think that happened this year.
That happened this year, April.
Okay, so that's my choice for submission of the year because it feels like she forced that. That wasn't because old girl was fucked up or right. Like she muscled her way into it, and that was sort of like you don't really pull that shit off. Yeah, that bullshit right there, that's a submission. Like you're not really supposed to be able to do that standing. I'm not the biggest jits guy in the world, but you need fucking leverage and the floor to sort of usually pull that sort of shit off. A standing arm triangle like that takes some fucking serious torque, Jack.
And to take out Amanda Lemos like that was nasty. Amanda's on her way to a fucking title shot, and then she runs into her. Like, oh,
exactly.
What the fuck?
That was fucking nasty. So that's my pick for submission of the year. The other two submissions were big and obviously more high profile, but I feel like they were sort of just they got the submission, but from beating the fuck out of the other person with their hands and their feet. What the fuck?
Oh, you're right. You're right. I'm with you on that one. Yeah, it says April and Amanda Lemos, Fred. All right. Santiago says Makachev because Oliveira is one of the best at jiu-jitsu. I think Makachev's is some smashers, though.
Now, but that was also what I thought about because we do give Oliveira such a like he has nasty jiu-jitsu, and for him to get submitted, that does give a pretty good statement. I thought about that, but I still thought the Andrade shit, but that was just super impressive. I remember seeing that and being like, God damn, that does take some serious fucking skill and strength to pull that shit off standing, Jack.
When I tell you that I tried that shit the next day at jiu-jitsu, I fucking tried just to get without telling anybody I was doing it. I open mat. I was like, instead of shooting for a takedown or pulling guard or anything, I would just come in like straight, trying to get like underhook or overhook, whatever, and try to get it, and it's not happening. So that shit was nasty. And of course, I know Otis gave me his pick. Submission of the year is Johnny Walker and Jan Cutelaba. That UFC 279. Johnny Walker had his way with him on the grind. Let me see if I can find him.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I have a picture.
I ain't terribly mad at that. I feel like if I'm not mistaken, that was nasty. That was a good one.
And I remember talking to Johnny Walker. I interviewed him like weeks before his fight. And I remember talking to him, and he was like, he was like deadly about it. He was like, I'm gonna fuck everybody up. Like I'm going in on everybody. It's just like, holy shit. Like he was dead serious. And when we went in the cage against Jan, it's like, okay, I guess you're doing this shit, boy. Let's go. So that was nasty. Ion Cutelaba. How do you say it? Not Jan? It's Ion, whatever the fuck. I don't know. Doesn't matter. All right. Moving on. Next award to go out. The knockout of the year. This is a knockout, which again, whatever definition you give to knockout of the year is what it is. There's some nasty, savage ass knockouts that we saw this year that were just insane. But to me, nothing beats. And again, I'm beating a dead horse here. Leon Edwards knocking out Kamaru Usman. You could have gone Alex Pereira here. You could have gone Myriad. Honestly, a lot of knockouts this year that were pretty good. But to me, this one meant the most. Of when it happened, how the fight was going, who he did it against. That was just nasty, man. So to me, it's Leon Edwards, man.
Man, listen. One of my favorite knockouts of all time, maybe my favorite knockout of all time, possibly, is Anderson Silva knocking out Vitor Belfort. Boy, that front kick wasn't nothing nice. And a lot of that's because I thought Vitor was actually going to beat Anderson going into the fight. He was fucking just something else. And Anderson landed that. Boy, that was some ninja shit right there, Jack. That was some wild shit, man. And fast forwarding to my pick for knockout of the year, when Michael Chandler did that shit to Tony Ferguson. First off, I thought he killed Tony. Jesus. I didn't know if Tony was ever going to fucking get back up after that one, or if them screws were ever going to be motherfucking screwed back tight. That was one of the better knockouts I've ever seen. And again, I think I have a special place for that front kick to the face right on the chin because of Anderson doing it when Machida did it to Randy. We had a few like that, but boy, I think that's just one of the most beautiful knockouts you can fucking land, man. That front kick to the face, when you do it properly and it lands, that's a pretty motherfucker, Jack.
When your face looks like this when you get hit, holy shit.
Yeah.
All right. He turned him into fucking Benjamin Button at birth immediately.
He turned him into a 137-year-old man. Listen, that motherfucker,
bro.
That's the straight right hand of the kick world, Jack. That's just the fucking Scapali. What the fuck? You land that, that's beautiful.
Mind you. Oh, fuck, Adam. I'll get to yours in a second. Mind you, after the fight, we got to ask Michael Chandler about it, and he was like, dude, I don't train that. I hate that shit. My foot hurts every time I train that, so I didn't train it. He threw it just because Tony was, like, out of his range each time, right? So then he just, like, fuck it, I can reach over my foot, and he just was able to land it perfectly, so that was great. Mind you, Tony was looking really fucking good that fight. Yeah. He was winning. So
very true.
Yeah, so let me get the other ones. Otis says Leon Edwards on Usman because that's literally a buzzer beater on all-time great, 100%. Edwards and Santiago, here's my favorite already. Adam Woods. KO of the year was James Krause and Glory MMA out of the UFC. Good one.
Yeah.
But seriously, it was Chandler, KO, and Tony. Dude, very quickly. I don't want to get into this too much because we only have technically 10 minutes. We're gonna keep going a little longer because we gotta get to the awards. But very quickly, have you seen all the betting bullshit that's been going on? Not just in MMA anymore. Everywhere they're having betting issues. Like tonight, I don't know if you know Drew Brees or not. You know, he's fucking future Hall of Famer and everything, former Saints quarterback, won a Super Bowl. He got hired by University of Purdue University, however you call it out in Illinois, to be one of their coaches. And he's actually on a commentary on a game tonight. And somebody in New Jersey had to stop the betting on that game because of a conflict of interest because he works for Purdue now. So I don't know the whole story. I'm butchering the shit out of it, but they had to stop taking bets on that game, on some game that he's calling because he works for Purdue. So it's like everything's getting crazy with this betting shit. Like opening betting online brought so many problems. I'm wondering if it's starting to regret it a little bit.
All I know is James Krause is about to be our Pete Rose.
Oh, dude.
Sadly enough for James Krause, though, he was no Pete Rose. So, like, motherfuckers ain't going to be screaming for him to be in the Hall of Fame 50 years now. We just going to forget that James Krause ever existed. And that is sad because he was a very good fighter and had the potential to be a great coach. So, it is a bit of a bummer. But I think, yeah, he fucked up badly.
And now you got Jeff Molina stuck in that shit too. Like I don't know if you heard about that. He got suspended and it's been put as uncategorized or something like that. And I'm like, man, we ain't stupid. We know what the fuck's up. So see how it goes. All right, next category. I think we only have we have about 3 more. Ooh, I'm wondering if we should go to fight. Do you want to do the fighters of the year? Or you want to do the fight of the year first?
We could do fight of the year and then round out with the fighters.
Okay, let's do fight of the year. So fight of the year, there's a lot of pick. I know everybody went with the Yuri Glover fight because it was nasty, and I was going to until I remembered this fight: Gilbert Burns against Hamza Chimaev. I forgot exactly which event this was. I think I have it written down somewhere. Let me see. Oh, UFC 273. So coming into UFC 273 in April, Hamza Chimaev, he's been tearing through 2 divisions, pretty much. Going through his opponents fucking quickly and everything. Most of them, I think the longest he fought before the Burns fight was the 2nd round, and he finished that fight. So until he ran into Gilbert Burns, who showed no fear for his smothering style, he ain't smashing nobody. He even hurt Chimaev, which to me was the most impressive part of that fight. The fact that he we got to see Chimaev actually had to go through take some punishment. He got to go through some adversity during the fight. So to me, like having someone test Chimaev like that, and having Chimaev be able to pull off a decision win over him, over a guy's legitimate at 170, one of the title contenders, to me was the fight of the year. It was just a nasty fight, and it was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, look, filthy casual, Jack. Glover Yuri.
Mm-hmm.
That was my fight. There was a lot of good fights this year, to be fair. Yeah. I thought the impact of the year overall left a little bit to be desired, but like there were some great individual fights. Actually, quite a few of them. Was it Poirier Gaethje?
Poirier Gaethje was nasty.
Poirier Chandler.
I think
all 3 of those pricks. I don't know when they fought each other, whatever. I know a couple of those pricks fought each other this year. There's been a lot of really good fights. But Yuri and Glover was probably my favorite fight to watch in hindsight. Just the shifts of momentum, the fact that it ends with Yuri submit. And again, I don't think it's submission of the year because of the sloppiness of the fight, but an impactful, emphatic end to a crazy back and forth fight that literally saw both men looking like the fight was over at multiple times. And I feel like what more could you ask for in a fight?
All right.
If it looks like, oh my God, he's about to get, if you could say, oh my God, this fight's over 2 or 3 different times for each guy, that was a fucking crazy fight. And there was a couple times there where I'm like, oh, it's over. Yuri's fucked. Yeah. And then it just wouldn't be. It's like, oh, fuck, Glover's fucked. And then it just wouldn't be. And then finally, Yuri ends up choking Glover after all that. It's like, what a fucking fight, man. What a fight.
That was a nasty fucking fight, dude. Just back and forth. Fucking nuts. So I like the one that I like that pick, but I like the one that Otis picked because that was the one I was gonna go with, and then I remember this one, the one that I picked. But fight of the year is Luke Rockhold versus Paul Costa, UFC 278. Holy shit! I remember watching that fight again. I happened to be covering that one too, and it was just we were watching it, just like, what in the fuck is going on? Like, Paula was putting it on Luke. Luke was firing right back, and then Luke was getting fucked up. It was just at the very end, they were both beat up and exhausted. And I heard a lot of people talking shit about that fight. I don't understand why. That was a nasty, nasty fucking fight. It was a lot of fun to watch too.
I tell you what, I would actually really love to see Luke Rockhold fight again.
I do too.
I don't know if he would, but like I feel like he's just been so inactive. That fight he might have lost, but he showed enough potential that like he should probably try to give it another whirl. And then,
Yeah.
let's see what happens if you fight more than once every 3 years. Like you can't just come back. I mean, listen, you can, and you did it, but that's what happens when you do that. You got to have a fucking crazy throwdown war. Now, fucking come back and fight again in less than 3 years, and let's see where you're actually at. You know what I mean? Like that was sort of just popping your cherry a little bit. Don't ride off into the sunset yet. You clearly still got some sort of gas in the tank. I mean, love him or hate him, Paulo Costa's a goddamn fucking animal. Paulo Costa went to war with Yoel Romero. I mean, he might have lost to Israel Adesanya, but like, let's not get it twisted. He's fucked. So like, anybody that can even stand up and trade blows with that cocksucker is high level.
Honestly, when he retired in the cage, it was like, damn, that fucking sucks. I want to see him come back. But my favorite part of that whole week was him coming into media day, and he went in on that guy from Full Send. I was just like, oh no, because look, whether or not you agree with what Luke Rockhold said, like that shit was funny, and it was awkward for that dude, unfortunately, and whatever. He's he's a nice guy. I'm not gonna say nothing bad about him because I don't know him like that, but man, when I tell you that the media room got like half of us, most of us were like, oh shit. And then a handful were just like, good. It was a wild thing to experience live, bro, honestly. But yeah, and then real quick. So says, I love that fight. Oh, they're talking about Rockhold Costa. The next day I showed that fight to my wife. We all thought that Costa would knock Luke out. I thought so too. I was like, Luke's been gone forever. And he came back and showed heart like a motherfucker. It was crazy. All right, we're down to two more awards here, folks. Female Fighter of the Year and Male Fighter of the Year. Let's go with the Female Fighter of the Year because it's ladies first. This one to me, look, she came in 2022 with plenty of questions following her 2 consecutive losses to Rose Namajunas. And instead of accepting her fate as, facing fighters who would more fit her style, she moved to Arizona, trained under Henry Cejudo, and brought in a new high-level ground game, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and everything. And after a very exciting fight against Joanna Jędrzejczyk, she went and took the belt from Carla Esparza with the ground game, submitted Carla Esparza. So with the ground game no one thought she had, that was better than Esparza. So of course I'm speaking of the one and only, the current strawweight champion, Weili Zhang. So to me, I don't see anybody coming back to beat her right now. I think it's going to be it's going to be really difficult to beat her. With now that she has the ground game, like the most impressive thing to me from her, dude, is that she actually went out of her way to get uncomfortable and get good at the ground game. A lot of fighters go, I'm gonna go back to the lab and I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna add this to my game. No, she went and did that shit. So that was dope. So Weili Zhang to me is fight of the year. Low key want to see her against Bullet, but I'm not sure size wise how that would look.
All right. Listen, I gave this a lot of thought, and I'll give y'all a little preview of what to expect on the new show. And I'm gonna get my Andrew Tate bag a little bit here and say that
boy.
I ain't picking no fucking woman for Female Fighter of the Year. Quite frankly, I'm fucking disgraced with the state of female MMA right now. It's fucking boring. It sucks. It's trash. There's not barely one fucking fight that we can put. You can fucking take every fucking broad that competes in MMA right now, and I could say knock down all the organizations, make the biggest fight you can, Eddie Law. Mm-hmm. You make the best fucking woman's fight you can right now. What fight you picking? Who's the biggest fucking woman fight? If you got no borders, pick any 2 fucking women on planet Earth. What fight is it?
Nunes Cyborg rematch?
If that's what we're fucking waiting on, like, all due respect, man. Like, joking aside, Shevchenko's an animal, Nunes is an animal, Pena got lucky. Fucking, the truth is, we haven't had no excitement since fucking Rowdy Ronda. Bitch, we really wanted to see as much as we like Amanda Nunes, does anybody really care if she fucking wins or loses? And fuck off with the Brazilians and the gays. I get it. I know the fucking lesbies are all shot out of a cannon, and I get it. Like, if you're fucking Brazilian and a lesbian, you're lit. I understand. But in reality, who is really paying attention to women's MMA right now other than a hardcore fight fan? I mean, we're having a hard time breaking the fucking mold with our male stars. The truth is, there is nobody in the women's fucking sphere that is really captivating that imagination. And the women that can actually fight really well are, quite frankly, fucking boring. And I get it. Listen, Shevchenko's not boring. She fucking hunts bears or fucking shoots guns or lives in the woods or whatever kind of crazy shit she does. She's fucking hot. Bunch of fucking MMA nerds out there whacking their little hogs to her constantly or whatever the fuck. But quite frankly, she ain't getting nothing on ESPN. Nobody gives a fuck what Valentina Shevchenko's doing. Amanda Nunes is one of the baddest bitches that's ever walked the face of the planet, and motherfuckers are more interested in Clarissa Shields making the fucking transition than what Amanda's doing next. Women's MMA is boring. Daddy Fred, y'all ain't getting no awards. Bring it next year. Somebody come out. Molly Meatball McCann was somebody we were all fired up about. She can't bit more fighter weight out of a wet paper bag than the man on the moon.
When people were talking about her being like the next star, a female star, I was just like, no. Have you seen when she fought? And then she gets submitted last time out. She got submitted
That speaks to the state of women's MMA right now. Like the fact that fucking Molly Meatball McCann was about to get thrust into the spotlight.
I was, and funny enough, you should mention, I think today is the 4-year, I want to say 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 6-year anniversary of Nunes knocking the shit out of Ronda Rousey. In like the saddest way ever, basically being Ronda's last fight in MMA. So today was December 30th. So that was nuts.
The sad truth is that was exciting because of Ronda.
Yeah. I mean,
it was huge because of Ronda.
Before she beat Ronda and knocked Ronda out, everyone was kind of like, okay, yeah, Nunes knocked out whatever, was a champion, whatever. But then she knocked out Ronda, and everyone was like, holy shit, this is the GOAT. Everyone started saying GOAT, and then she knocked out Cyborg, and it was like, okay, definitely the GOAT. So there you go. That's a good point.
Listen to what I tell y'all. I'm about to drop a gem on y'all right quick.
Okay.
Ronda Rousey was such a big fucking star that Holly Holm is still headlining events off that win. Y'all think about that. Holly Holm is still headlining shows off that fucking head kick on Ronda. We ain't got one of those right now, women's NBA. We ain't had one in a long time, truth be told. We need one.
That's a good fucking point. And I'm trying to find out if she's a headliner. Oh my gosh, she is a headliner. She's headlining UFC San Antonio in March against Yana Kunitskaya.
Ain't won a fight in a month of Sundays. Ain't bit more won a meaningful fight in a month of Sundays. What the fuck? But boy, that Ronda Rousey win paying dividends, son. That's how much of a star Ronda was back then, though. Like, we need us one of those, man. We need a hoe to bite an ear. Or hey, what was that hoe's name that popped that titty out? We need one of those, baby. We need a tit. We got us some fine broads, man. Nobody got no titties popping out. We
bare knuckle the bare knuckle boxing chick. She used to do like she did like the lingerie football and all that shit. What's
yeah.
Whatever, you know what I'm talking about.
We need one of those that can fight.
Yeah. All right, real quick, let me catch up to Otis here. Female of the year is Weili Zhang, knockout win over Yana and a fantastic submission over Sparza. That's the one I picked. Santiago too. And Otis, I completely spaced on picking this one, so I'm sorry. But Otis, fucking sent this one in. Comeback fighter is Carlos Esparza for her career. Coming back many, many years after losing the belt, 100%.
Yeah, fair enough. We can all agree on that one.
Yeah. Fang, what's up, Fang? Saying excited for Ronda. I never got excited for her. I got more excited for Cyborg fight over a Ronda fight, but then Kirby won't say nothing bad about his girlfriend Cyborg. Oh
yeah, I would throw Cyborg a stab. And listen, honestly, I fucked way worse than Cyborg and worked out a fucking bean here. But no, listen. We got to go here soon. But like, I disagree. Ronda Rousey was the female Mike Tyson for a while, man. She was armbarring hoes in the first round, man. That for at her peak, bro, there was nothing more exciting than a Ronda Rousey fight, Jack.
I think the hardcore is anything you and I knew better. But when they started saying that Ronda Rousey could beat Floyd Mayweather in a fight or some shit, we were just like, what? But the fact that they were talking about her like that was like,
hey, listen, I'm still not incredibly convinced she can't.
Oh, God. Okay. All right, moving on. Male fighter of the year. This is where I'm going to get quite a bit of pushback with some people, but let me explain first. Okay. We all know. Let me see how because I wrote a couple points here. All right. Very few will agree with me on this, and even more are going to ridicule this pick. But to me, Nate Diaz is a male fighter of the year. So with so much talk around fighter pay and treatment and all that, Diaz refused to let the promotion put a price on his worth. He needed himself. And after booking a fight against Chimaev, because the only way out of his contract, and then ultimately they switched to Tony Ferguson, not Nate's fault, so y'all can forget that bullshit. Diaz managed to walk away from the UFC with something very few do. A win, the bag, and plenty of positive prospects for himself in the future. Okay? Like nobody else does that. Every time we see someone big name leave the UFC that had, issues with the UFC, whatever, they always leave getting fucked up, knocked out, beat the shit out of, and all that. And they when have you heard of any of those guys after? Nate signed the fight against Chimaev because on the way out, we all think you and I and everybody else felt like he was going to get mauled. Not his fault that Chimaev's fat ass couldn't make weight. And then gets the Tony Ferguson fight, wins, and leaves the hero. And now he's got a big money fight coming probably with Jake Paul or in other different prospective fights and bags. So again, everyone's gonna disagree with me, but to me, it's Nate Diaz.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a horrible pick, but I wouldn't expect nothing less from you Mexican cocksuckers. I understand you stick together, and I respect it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I respect it. No, listen. So my pick for fucking fighter of the year, man, is Islam Makhachev. And being a Conor McGregor guy, it sort of pains me to say it, but the reason I pick Islam is because I actually have a ton of respect for Charles Oliveira and what he was doing at lightweight and what he had accomplished. And for Islam to come in and not only beat him, but sort of shut him out and finish him.
Yep.
Woo, good Lord. I mean, he rubs me wrong. And I agree with Bobby Green. I think he's been on steroids since he was 7 years old. But until we can prove that, just judging him off of what has happened in that goddamn cage, he's nasty, man. He's fucking nasty. And like I said, I put a lot of respect on Oliveira's name. So for him to beat Oliveira in the way in which he did, I know MMA math don't always work, but me getting in that little MMA math bag, that means at lightweight, he's a bad lad. Because Charles Oliveira was out here whooping on fools. I mean, he was taking a little beating to do it, but he was finishing tough guys. And for him to not even put a scratch on fucking Makhachev and Makhachev to finish him, I don't know. For me, bro, that speaks dividends.
Big time. Tons of respect for Charles. I picked Charles in that fight. I thought Charles was gonna fuck him up, and I think
I did too. I think I did too.
Yeah, and I was just like, no, he's gonna fuck up Islam. Islam's gonna run into something he's never faced before. And holy shit, did he make that look almost easy? That was painful to watch as a Charles Oliveira fan. So now I'm with you. That's a great fucking pick. All right, real quick on everybody else's picks. Oh, this is male fighter of the year. It's Alex Pereira. Huge win over Bruno Silva. That was a dope fight. Impressive knockout of Strickland. That made me laugh a lot. And a great title win over Adesanya. That was insane. That's a great fucking pick.
Listen, Otis, I mean, what are you gonna do? The guy's he's a beast. Like that's you can't really make a good argument against that when you lay it out like that. 3 fights, 3 wins, culminating. Cultivate, yeah, I think that's the one.
Culminating.
There it is. That's the goddamn word. Culminating in a win over Adesanya. I mean, that's pretty fucking impressive, Jack.
Yeah, 100%. Real quick, I got a fanboy. Real quick, you know who JJ Watt is?
No.
JJ Watt is he's gonna be a Hall of Famer, but defensive lineman for the Cardinals. Used to be a Texans. He's fucking one of the best to do it. And he just retired a couple of days ago, and I retweeted his retirement post, and he just liked my my quote tweet. So I'm kind of fanboying here. That was kind of fucking dope. Anyway, that never happens. I get fighters liking my shit, but I never get like NFL players actually liking my shit. So that's kind of cool. So Diego brings a really good question here, real quick. What was the worst decision of the year? Patty versus Gordon for me.
Oh man, I don't know. I'd have to think.
I'd have to look back.
That was not a good one, man. There was a lot though.
There was a lot,
man. There was a lot of bad decisions this year. That was a bad one, but I don't know. I'd have to think about that, man. I don't know.
And of course, I'm Mexican, so I'm gonna go with this one. Brandon Moreno losing the belt to fucking Figgy in the last one by decision didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know
That
about
decision
that.
made no sense to me. But
I think we see worse. Again, I smoke way too much dope, but like I think there's worse ones than that. We've seen some
oh,
bad
there's worse
shit
ones.
here.
But that's what I would pick.
I can't think though. I can't think though.
Yeah. Santiago says R.I.P. Bonner. Yep. Stephen Bonner.
Oh yeah, bro. Fucking Jesus Christ.
I
Terribly
completely
smashed.
forgot to make a thing about it. But Stephen Bonner passing away at 45 years old on December 22nd because of a heart heart situation, man. That he was not looking good in the last few years, man. He was looking bad. I mean, but for like the legal issues, the DUI that he had, unfortunately, and this video of that shit, which is even worse because now his kids will be able to fuck. He has kids, I think, but whatever, his family's gonna be able to see that shit. That shit was wild. But like the last interview I saw him, he looked frail, bro. Like he had I think he had a staph infection in his spine, if I'm not mistaken, and so he was going through it, dude. It was bad, and then to have him pass away like that was unexpected, but you knew it was bad. It was pretty fucking sad. And then
Listen, I'll make this relatively short and sweet because I have to go really soon. But without exaggerating very much, we all owe a debt of gratitude to Stephen Bonner.
Yeah.
Stephen Bonner and Forrest Griffin put on the most important fight in MMA history.
Oh yeah.
I don't give a fuck what you say. This is not up for debate. Are there better fights? For sure. Are there more, whatever. The most important fight in MMA history is Stephen Bonner versus Forrest Griffin. I think number one, because I think they did fight again. I think they did have a
fight
rematch
again
later on. But that first fight, the finale for the first season of The Ultimate Fighter, that was the most important fight in MMA history. That was the fight. That fight alone was almost more important than Dana and all the bullshit, man. That fight sparked so much fucking intrigue for this sport and that first season and the second season going past that. Those gentlemen had a huge spotlight on them, and they literally could not have done more to deliver at that given moment in that given time. You cannot understate what Stephen Bonner did for this sport. You cannot do it, man. I mean, you just that fight alone, him and Forrest Griffin both deserve the utmost. If they never did nothing else in their careers, which they did, but if they didn't, that fight alone is so unspeakably important to this sport and the way it turned out.
If you guys remember back then, like they bet the farm and the UFC on that tough series, and it wasn't going super great. It was looking like bad for the UFC. It might not have worked out after that if it hadn't been for this fight. So, like you're right. And look, Stephen Bonner had his demons. He talked about it later on, and it was pretty rough the way the last few years looked for him to the point where this last year was probably the best he sounded in a long time. But man, to lose him like that was shocking, dude. We all found out on New Year or no, on Christmas Eve was when everyone found out. But he had passed on the 22nd. So that's rest in peace, Stephen Bonner. Respect to a legend, respect to a pioneer of the UFC and of MMA. So yeah, it's a good point. All right, very quickly because we gotta go. Adam Wood says the only fights I want to see in 2023 is Kayla Harrison versus Cyborg. That kind of died with Kayla Harrison losing, but maybe with the winner to face Nunes to shut down the 145 GOAT and to shut down the women's 145 division everywhere. Yeah, they never fight again. What's the point? And then Islam's a great choice, but Volk, even though he only fought twice, he had a great year. Volk had a great fucking year. And then Adam says, did my FTX come and get removed? I never saw it, dude, so I have no idea. But if it's getting removed, YouTube did it. So send it on Twitter or something. All right, fellas, ladies and gentlemen, this is it for this channel. This show on this channel, we will be on, if you guys can see right under me, you see the Cageside Press logo? That will be where we're going. So KeyboardWarriorsMMA.com will send you over to that YouTube from now on. Please hit subscribe on Cageside Press. Hit like on everything. You get plenty more content over there, believe me. Fight night stuff, media days, all kinds of shit. Please go check it out. Hit the subscribe button on there. We appreciate the hell out of every single one of you guys. All right. This channel's not going down. This will be our archive. We'll jump on here every once in a while, do like a fuck it, talk about regular life and pop culture and whatever the fuck on here. That won't be MMA related probably. Or we might do another MMA related show, who knows. But you will catch us next year on 2023 at Cageside Press. Make sure you guys hit that up. Hold up. Happy New Year to all the Keyboard Warriors. See you guys in Cageside. I appreciate you, man. Happy New Year. Happy, stay safe. Be cool. Happy holidays, man. We appreciate the fuck out of you guys. Jesse, if you're still watching, my bad. I forgot to send you a link, but we gotta go.
Yeah.
Shout out to everyone.
I gotta go. Eddie, I love you. I love all you.
Bro.
I'll see y'all next year. I gotta go right now. Bye.
Deuces, bro.
Guys. Talk to y'all soon.
All right, y'all. Well, Fred Kirby making the exit 2022 exit the only way he can. So shout out to everyone that tuned in. Otis, the third Keyboard Warrior, Liam, Santiago, SJ was here, Jesse, Adam Woods. It's been a while, dude. I gotta send you a link and make sure you can fucking come hang out with us one of these nights. Who else we have? Fang hanging out in the last one. Again, we're still the Keyboard Warriors. We're just gonna be over at Cageside Press. So make sure you guys hit that up. With a slightly different kind of show, but it's gonna be a lot more fun. Believe me. Cageside Live on Monday or Tuesday, depending on what our availability is gonna be our analysis, fight breakdowns, all this kind of shit, headline stuff is gonna be on there. Keyboard Warriors is gonna be all kinds of fun. We're gonna live up to the Keyboard Warriors name, believe me. So, I appreciate the fuck out of you guys. Like I know I say it every show, but I really do, and you guys have meant a lot to us for sticking with us. We don't have 1 million subscribers. We don't have 1 million. Our shows barely ever do 100 views, and we don't give a shit. We've been doing this for 7 years, and we do it because we enjoy the fuck out of it. And now we're gonna go over to Cageside Press and continue it on. And I'm really hoping you guys follow us over there. Tell your friends, tell everybody to come hang out with us. So one final time on this channel and in 2022. Good night. We love the fuck out of you guys. Fred said it best. Love you guys. We'll catch you guys in 2023 with a new intro, new everything. All right. Good night. And I'm never gonna stop this. I'm gonna say this forever. Good night, Wilshire.